America was days away from sending troops into Iran to seize its nuclear stockpile. Trump called it off. Iran found out and booby-trapped the tunnels with mines. Now diplomats say a deal is done. Pakistan says peace has never been closer. Netanyahu wasn't invited to the negotiations. Trump called him anyway, told him to stop fighting. Netanyahu hasn't said yes. As the US and Iran inch towards a nuclear agreement, new reporting reveals just how close Washington came to a very different outcome. According to a CNN report, the American military had advanced to the final stages of planning a ground operation inside Iran to physically seize the country's stockpile of highly enriched uranium. US President Donald Trump ultimately shelved the plan after being warned it could trigger significant American casualties and a severe Iranian response. According to the report, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, flew from a NATO meeting in Brussels to Tampa on May 19th to brief Trump in person, a sign of how close the mission was to being approved. But while Trump held back, Tehran was not waiting around. The CNN also reported that Iran has since moved aggressively to protect its nuclear material, collapsing tunnels at the Isfahan complex and booby-trapping entrances with explosive mines. Extracting that uranium, roughly half a ton of near bomb-grade material, is now considerably harder than it was even a month ago. Scott Rucker, who headed the National Nuclear Security Administration's Office of Nuclear Material Removal until 2021, cautioned that even if negotiators required Iran to bring its stockpile to a central location, there was a real danger Tehran could claim portions were irretrievable.
I would worry that Iran would claim that some portion of the HEU was irretrievable. We wouldn't have full confidence that Iran couldn't retain access to it at some point in the future.
And yet, diplomacy appears to be gaining ground. A senior US official told reporters on June 12th that the emerging Memorandum of Understanding with Iran leads directly to Washington acquiring Tehran's enriched uranium stockpile, with the material to be destroyed inside Iran before being removed from the country. Meanwhile, key mediator and Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif wrote on X that a final agreed-upon text of the peace deal has been reached.
Amid ongoing intense mediation efforts by Pakistan, we are fully aware of an incessant misinformation campaign being waged by those who want to sabotage the peace deal. Setting aside the noise, we can confirm that a final, agreed-upon text of the peace deal has been reached, and Pakistan is now working closely with both sides to finalize the next steps. Peace has never been this close as it is now.
What complicated the mood was a leak of purported deal terms to Iranian state media. Trump was furious, publicly accusing Tehran of spreading false information about the agreement's conditions. That fury, it appears, did not stop him from picking up the phone. Trump called Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on June 12th and told him directly it was time to stop fighting. Netanyahu, who had not been involved in the negotiations and was reportedly caught off guard, raised concerns about the nuclear provisions but did not push back hard. A senior US official told Axios that Netanyahu understood a deal was coming and that he could not stop it. And yet, the statements emerging out of Tel Aviv suggest that, despite the US trying hard to put this war behind them, Israel may move ahead with aggressive tactics even after a deal. Trump asked Netanyahu, "Did they kill any of your people?" Netanyahu said no. Trump said, "Then don't respond." Netanyahu responded anyway. Bibi told his cabinet Israel is not subordinate to the Americans. The IDF chief said Israel could strike Iran harder, and alone. The alliance is intact, just about, and the war that just ended, it may not be over. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has disclosed details of a tense exchange with US President Donald Trump, revealing that Washington pressed Israel to limit its response to Iranian attacks as both sides sought to prevent a wider regional war. According to remarks Netanyahu shared with ministers and obtained by Ynet and Yedioth Aharonoth, Trump pressed the Israeli leader during a tense phone call after Iran launched missiles at Israel in response to an Israeli strike in Beirut's southern suburbs.
Trump asked me, "Did they kill any of your people?" I told him, "No, but I am not prepared to accept an equation in which we respond only if people are killed. If they attack Israeli territory, I respond and strike back. We are not subordinate to the Americans. We are their allies. When you have a partner, you act like a partner. We are not working against them, but with them."
The Israeli leader said Trump remains committed to pursuing a diplomatic agreement with Iran, despite months of conflict and regional escalation. Netanyahu told his ministers that while he understands Washington's desire for a deal, he remains skeptical that an agreement can be reached and vowed to use every means necessary to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
I told him I completely understand his desire for an agreement, but I don't think there will be one, and we will not become victims of such an agreement.
The discussion came as senior Israeli military officials stressed that Israel retains the capability to act independently against Iran if required. IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir told ministers that Israel could launch further large-scale operations against Iranian targets on its own, although maintaining military cooperation with the United States remains a strategic priority.
We could have struck Iran harder. We are prepared for a significant and powerful wave of attacks. We have the endurance to conduct an intense campaign against Iran on our own. But of course, we prefer to do it with our partner.
Zamir said preserving the unprecedented level of cooperation between the Israeli and American militaries was itself an operational objective. Israeli intelligence officials also assessed that Iran's military response had been deliberately restrained from Tehran's perspective. The comments were made before Trump later declared that the conflict with Iran had effectively ended and pointed to what he described as progress toward a potential agreement with Tehran. Hours later, Netanyahu took to X and declared that stopping Tehran's nuclear ambitions remains one of the central missions of his premiership.
As long as I am Prime Minister of Israel, Iran will not have nuclear weapons. There is full agreement between me and President Trump on this issue. For over 30 years, I have been at the forefront of the international campaign against Iran's nuclear program. Had it not been for this campaign, Iran would long ago have had atomic bombs to destroy Israel. Iran is working to destroy the Jewish state, and I dedicate my life to preventing them from doing so. As long as I am Prime Minister of Israel, this will not happen.
Iran has pushed back against mounting speculation of an imminent US-Iran deal, with a source close to Tehran's negotiating team calling reports of a finalized agreement completely false. Also, on June 12th, after reports revealed the terms of a potential US-Iran deal, Trump attacked the media with a post on his social media platform Truth Social. Trump also slammed Iran for an alleged drone attack and told Tehran's leadership to get its act together.
The terms that Iran leaked out to the fake news have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed to in writing. What they said, including their weak and pathetic statement on having a deal, bears no relation to the truth. Very dishonorable people to deal with. With them, there is no such thing as dealing in good faith. Amazing. Also, their totally rebuffed drone attack last night against Indian ships leaving the Hormuz Strait is totally unacceptable. They better get their act together, and fast.
The competing narratives from Washington, Jerusalem, and Tehran expose the deep mistrust shadowing any diplomatic resolution. With Netanyahu vowing independent action, Trump pressing for a deal, and Iran rejecting reported terms as fiction, the path to a lasting agreement remains as uncertain as ever.